So, by the end of this lesson, we will be able to understand what a variable is, create variables, right? So, as we know that in previous video, we learned about programming, what Python is, and we wrote our very first Python program using print. Today, we are going to learn something much more useful. Imagine you are creating a game, a calculator, or even a banking application. How does a computer remember a player's score, a person's name, or an account balance? That's where variables come in. So, like, what is a variable? Use this analogy. Like, imagine you have a box. On the outside of the box, you write age, and inside the box, you print 20. So, like, let's open US code. Yeah. So, where were we? Suppose you have a box and you write age on it, and inside the box, you put like 20. So, the label is the variable name, and the value inside the data. So, like, let's put your age equals 20. So, this age is variable name, and 20 is the value which is inside it, or which you can say which is labeled. Now, if your age changes to 21, so you don't need to create a new box. You simply replace what's inside it. Right? Every time you replace something, you don't need to get a new box. If you have a cupboard and when you buy new clothes, you basically don't go buying another cupboard, right? You put your clothes in the same cupboard itself. So if your age has changed to 21, you can simply re-register your age as age equals 21. So you have overwritten it, right? So programming variables work like this. Now, to make the concepts more clearer, suppose your mother asks you to bring the sugar container from the kitchen. Now, you don't go to kitchen as many times a day, right? So, uh, you basically would find a hard time finding that sugar container. But how are you going to find a sugar container fast? How will your mother ensure that you find that sugar container fast? Where? So basically, how do you know that which container has sugar? So basically, what your mother will do, your mother will label it, right? And another container might say salt, another one might say tea leaves, another might say chilies. So basically, each container has a name. So it will be easy for you to track down which container has sugar by simply reading the label. So what does the label actually helps you with? It helps you to identify what's inside without opening every container. The programming works in a very similar way. Now imagine that I have four boxes in front of me. B1, which contains my name. B2, which contains my age. B3, which contains my marks. And B4, which contains in which city I live in. Yeah, so in In any programming language, if you are writing letters, you basically put that inside double quotes. So remember that. There is a reason for it. We will get to know when we learn about data types. So now, as we can see, each box has a label inside it, and inside each box, I can store some information. Right? For example, Adrian. In V2, we have 15, that is age. In V3, we have marks, that is 25. And in V4, we have city, that is Tokyo. So now there's something interesting. Tomorrow, my marks might become 98. Do I need to throw away the box? No. I simply replace the value inside it. The label remains the same. The programming variables behave exactly like these boxes. See, I can easily change its value to 98 now, right? Or I can overwrite it. Suppose here it was earlier 25, right? So I can overwrite my variable. So now let's check. Now let's print each and every box. Let's run our code. See, Adrian, 15, 98, and then Tokyo. P3 was 25. I overwrite it by with my new value that was 98. So now in my program, when I'm going to print D3, it's showing me 98 over here. Right. So if you have noticed, by doing this, I've also taught you how to print what inside the variables. So if you want to print any variable, a variable which has a value inside it, you just simply need to write print, open parenthesis, and then write the variable name which you want to print, and then close the brackets. So let's understand the variables more carefully, right? On the left side, we have the word name. This is called the variable name. This V1 is variable name. On the right side, inside quotation marks, we have a name that is Adrian. So this is the value that we're storing inside the variable, and this equal to sign in the middle, right? So many of you think that this is equals sign, like in mathematics. But in programming, we call this equals to is basically assignment. You are assigning the value of B1 as Adrian. Like your mother had assigned you a work to bring sugar, which she's assigning you with work. She's assigning you with the task. Similarly, we're assigning the variable B1 with a name. It simply means take the value on the right and store it inside the variable on the left. That's what it does. And remember that in print, I don't need to write Adrian to get my name printed. I simply write the variable which is storing my name. So if I want to print my name 5 times, I don't need to write my name 5 times. I need to write the variable in which is storing my name 5 times. That is B1. Because Python already knows that the variable called B1 contains the value Adrian. So when I ask Python to print B1, it goes to that box, looks inside, and prints whatever is stored in it. Okay, so till now we have learned that we can also overwrite the variables and it would print the latest value that is assigned to it. If suppose below this line, I'm going to rewrite the value of V1, which is equals to Rahul over here, and when I will run it, see, it's printing Rahul over here because I had overwritten the variable, right? Suppose what you do out of mischievousness, inside the sugar bottle, the box is named as sugar, but you put salt inside it. And in the box named salt, you put sugar inside it. So if the label is sugar and you have put salt inside it, so when you take out the thing stored inside the box, will you get sugar or salt? You will get salt. Though the box named as sugar, because box can be named anything. It's upon you that what you're going to put inside it. See how easy it was. We have created 4 different variables. Each one stores a different type of information. So instead of remembering every value ourselves, we let the computer remember them for us. It's like free labor. So like, why do we even need variables, right? Can't we just directly write everything? Like, use the print statement and directly write anything you want over there. Why use variables? Suppose, but this is a short program. Like you would think that like you can do this, but imagine if you're writing a 2000 line code. How are you going to type each and everything again and again using the print statement? You need something, you need some variables that would store the information for you. Can you manually write every person's name inside the program? If you have given a task to enter the credentials of a classroom which has 100 students, it would take like 1 hour to complete this. Or imagine you're creating a banking application. Every customer has a different account balance. Every customer has a different name. Every customer has a different phone number. The program needs a way to remember different information for different people. That's exactly why variables exist. So variables can change over time, which is why they are called variables. Their values can vary. If you go to English language, Variable literally means a value that can change over time. It's not constant. Now, let me show you something which is a very common mistake. If we in small b and 1, I have stored Adrian, but what if I write a capital B and 1? This will show me an error. See, it's underlined by, see, it's also underlined, showing that the variable b1 doesn't exist. See, it's so written over here also, b1 is not defined. Understood? So Python is case sensitive as I told you in my first video also. But B1 with a capital B and B1 with a small b, they are totally different. Now let's see what are the rules for writing a variable. First rule, never start a variable name with a character. Sorry, never start a username with a number or a special character or with the underscore and then your variable name. No, this is not allowed. Uh, Starting a variable name with a capital letter or starting a variable name with a small letter, they all work. But starting the variable name with a number or a special character, these won't work. But if you're writing a variable name and then putting the number after it, this will work. If you're writing a variable b and you're putting a number beside it, this will work, right? And suppose if you want to write this variable, my name equals Raj. This is the wrong form of writing a variable name. You cannot put a space inside a variable name. Instead, you can put an underscore. So only one special character is allowed in naming a variable, that is underscore, and that too in between your variable name, not at the start of your variable name, just like numbers, right? So what have we learned till now? A variable is simply a name location where we store information. Think of it as a label box. The label is called the variable name. The information inside is called the value. And whenever we need that information, simply use the variable name instead of typing the value again and again. Now that we know how to store information, the next question is, can a variable store only names? Or it can store only numbers, decimal values, and even true or false answers? To answer that, we need to understand something called data types, which is exactly what we are going to learn next. Yeah, so sorry I forgot, like, before moving on to data types, let me show you that using a variable name, you can also store true or false. Like, let's suppose y equals 2 and z equals false. Remember, whenever you're storing true or false inside a variable name, the T of true should be capital and the F of false should be capital. Uh, for a beginner who is currently starting Python, you won't need using true or false variables much, but later on, you are going to need this. But for information now. Uh, we are showing this true or false over here. So basically, true or false over here means Boolean values. What are Boolean values? For Boolean values, we simply know that true means 1 and false means 0, right? So understand that what are Boolean values? True or false, and true means 1 and false means 0. And these y and z are called Boolean variables because they are storing Boolean values over here, right? So now let's rub all this and let's start with the test. Start with data types. And am I a student? I think I should answer that's true. So like if we are looking at this, do all the variables store the same kind of information? Let's look carefully. The variable name stores a person's name. The variable age stores a whole number. The variable height stores a decimal number. And the variable student either stores true or false because it's a Boolean variable. Clearly, these are four completely different kinds of data. And because they are different, Python needs a way to recognize them. That's where the term we call as data types comes in. Imagine you're packing your house before shifting to a new city. You have books, you have clothes, you have class items. Would you rather put everything into the same box or buy different box? Probably you will buy different boxes because how you can going to organize your stuff. Books go into one box, clothes into another, class items into a box marked fragile. Why? Because every item needs different handling. Programming works exactly the same way. Different kinds of information needs to be stored and processed differently. Python uses data type to identify what kind of data a variable contains. So let's move to type one of data types, right? If that is strings. A string is simply a collection of characters, right? Which we enclose inside quotation marks. So whenever you write something inside single quotes or double quotes, Python treats it as a string. For example, city equals Mumbai, college equals lovely professional university, right? Subject equals CSE and country equals India. Notice something, even if you write numbers inside quotation marks, they would treat them as strings. Number and store inside it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are treating them as string because quotation marks tell Pythons this is a text. These are letters. These are alphabets. These are not number. So there is a way, or you can say there's a method of changing that what kind of data type is the variable storing. So to get that what kind of data types do this string type, like suppose in English language we say now what type of clothes you're wearing, what kind of shoes you have, what type of shoes you have. So same with Python, we're asking them what type of variable are you? Print, type, and name. And suppose over here I'm going to do print, type, and number. See, in number I've stored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in name I've stored Adrian. Now let's run this. See, class string class str means str is an abbreviation for string. It's telling me that this is basically that these variable names are storing string inside it. And notice that even though the second variable contains digit, Python still calls it a string because those digits are enclosed in quotation marks. So now we move to type 2 of data types, that is integers. Suppose I'm putting age equals 21 marks equals 90 and students equals 70. This means my age is 21, my marks are 90, and the students inside my class are 60. So notice these values does not have a quotation mark. They also don't have a decimal points. They are called integers. An integer is simply a whole number. Right? Calling integers as whole number, I think is wrong because it can also store negative values. Right? Let's check what type of variables age, marks, and student are by using the same command type age. See now, it's printing class int. Int is an abbreviation for integers. So let's inside age, let's put a negative number and now run it. See, it's still showing class int because integers can show negative as well as positive numbers as well as zero. All these numbers are integers. So now let's move to the third type, that is float. Now suppose I ask you your height. Most people won't answer 5 or 6. They will probably say something like 5'10", 5'11", 5'8", 5'5". Or suppose you're going to buy vegetables. So from a supermarket, then there you will get integer values like 25.60, 25.78. Right. So notice that there is a decimal point, and whenever a number contains a decimal point, Python usually stores it as a float. Let's enter some variables here. Yeah. So let's print the type of each of them. Type of height, and print the type of Yeah, now let's run it. See, first one is class float. That basically means it's a float data type. And the second variable is an integer, so it's showing that it's an integer data type. So examples of uh, where you can use float are height, weight, temperature, product price, percentage. So let me tell you a common misunderstanding. Like many beginners think that float means the number is floating. That's not true. The number float simply refers to numbers containing decimal values. I know that's late. So like let's move on to the fourth type of data type, that is Boolean. This is a very interesting data type. Like when I got to know about it, I was also a little surprised of what can this variable store. Like there are only two possible values, true or false. So example, if suppose I am storing my height as 6'3", a performative male. So if sigma equals to, yes, that is true. But suppose your friend knows that he is 5'3". He's pretending to be someone else. So he will change or rewrite your variable is sigma as false. Now let's print this sigma along with we need to print its type also. So now let's run it. See, it's coming false and the class is showing DOL, that is an abbreviation for Boolean. A Boolean represents a yes or a no decision, right? True means 1, false means 0. True means yes, false means no. So if you look around uh, in real life, you may get the questions like, is the light still on? Is the student present? Is the payment successful? Is the account verified? So every answer is either yes or no. So in programming, yes becomes true, no becomes false, right? So why should we care about data types? Now you might be wondering, okay, Python knows the data type, why should I care? That's a very good question. Let me show you an example over here. I'm putting age equals 20 and I'm going to print age plus 5 over here. And now let's run it. Answer is coming as 25. Now what you need to do, instead of age, you put quotes and then put 20 over there. And instead of 5, put quotes and then put 5 over there. And now run it. So what is coming over here? 205. Wait, why didn't Python give us 25? Because these are string. Python joins them together. This process is called concatenation. It does not perform mathematical addition on strings, right? Suppose if I am going to print over here, string hello plus a blank space plus world. And if I'm going to run it, see what is coming. Hello world. Or if I'm going to put something on the variable called A, same with B, same with C, right? And now let's join them together in a variable called B. And let's print the variable D. What do you think? I want you to pause for a moment and think about the output that is going to come over here. See, D are different is coming and they're called joined together. Right. So see how Python can join two or more strings and the texts are combined together. So now let's try something different over here. Instead of printing D, print a A with inverted commas, plus P plus inverted commas with a space, and then again C. See now, there is a difference now. There is a space added in between all of them, right? So if I want to give you a summary about what we have learned till now, so names are text, age are whole numbers, heights are decimal numbers, true and false represent logical numbers, Python recognizes all of these using data types. The four basic data types we have learned today are string abbreviation str, integer abbreviation int, float abbreviation float, and boolean abbreviation bool. So, right, uh, these these things, if we keep in our mind, would make a program more understandable, more easy to use, or more easy to read. So let me now show you a very simple basic example. Suppose you're given a question to find the area of a square whose side is 30. How are you going to do that? First, we're going to need a variable or side, and its value should be 30. Second of all, I need to print its area. As we know that answer is side into side. That's the answer for the area of a square. Yeah, and the answer is coming over your 900, which is correct. And in Python, there's also a way to do this is side double multiplication sign then 2. The answer is still coming 900. Why? Because double multiplication sign means that you are putting a power to it, right? Because if a number is 5 square, in Python you're going to write this as 5 double multiplication sign then 2. This means it's squared to it, right? Same thing with if you want to put it to the power of 3. Same thing if you want to put this to the power of 4. Use double multiplication sign. Now, this question can be find the area of a triangle whose base is 5 and height is 12.5. So now we notice that one of the values is in decimal. So you need to take all your variables in float data type. But you don't need to write your full because Python will understand here on its own. A equals 5, B equals 12.5. So C would be equals to 0.5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 12.5. And now we need to print the area of the rectangle is, give a space, then close inverted commas, add a comma, and write the variable name. This is the way you print a message and a variable name together. Remember this, right? And now finally we are going to run this. See, the area of the rectangle is 31.25. And as I told you earlier, a comma sign automatically adds a space to it. If we remove the extra space given at the end, we will still get this. The area of the rectangle is 31.25, and after the word is, there is only a single space over there. So I hope that you can try multiple examples of these kinds on your own. These examples will help you a lot, and we make Python fluent for you. You will understand what things are going on here, how programs are working. Yeah, so let's continue another topic from here that is called type converse, and believe me, it's a very exciting topic. Yeah, so far we have learned about variables and data types. Know that Python stores different kinds of information differently. For example, names are stored as strings, ages as integers, heights as floating point numbers, and true or false values as booleans. Now here's a very important question. Can you change the data type of a value? Pause, and I would like you to think about it for a minute. Like, how are you going to change the data type of already declared variable? We can change the things contained inside the variable. Yes, we can change the variable name. Yes, we can do that. But how are you going to change the data type inside the variable? If you have thought about it, I would like to answer you that it's possible. The answer is yes, and the process is called type conversion. So let's understand about type conversion with a simple real life example. Imagine you have 500 in cash. Go to the bank and deposit it into your account. Did the value change? No, it's still 500. Only the form changed from physical cash to digital money. You can still claim your 500. You can still say that your worth is 500. Only the form changed from physical cash to digital money. Similarly, in programming, sometimes the value remains same, but the data type changes. For example, a string can be changed to a normal number. The value is still 20, but Python now treats it as a number instead of a text, instead of a string. So that's why type conversion is needed. That's what it is. That's how it works. So I need to say, like, let's see the problem. Uh, the problem is that how are we going to convert this, right? So let's first learn about how we're going to convert it from string to an integer. Like if my number equals 25, which is a string, the string number and the type of number type means what data type is this. See, it's printing 25 and it's showing that it belongs to string data type, right? Python says a string, though it's a number because it includes inside quotation marks. Now we need to convert it, right? So how are you going to convert this? By this method, by writing, sorry, yes, by this method, by writing the variable name, which is equals to, write the data type you want it to convert to, Here I want to convert it to it int. So writing here int, and then inside the bracket I'm writing the name of the variable which I want to convert. Suppose let me change the variable name over here, right? I'm changing it to num. What is num? Num is the integer version of the variable called number, right? And now I'm going to print num, and I'm going to print type of num here. See, first 25 was of integer type, now 25 is of integer type. Let me change this to number only, right? Let's see the play going on here. Yeah, earlier the 25 was string, now the 25 is an integer. So let's understand these lines very carefully, right? Int and then the parenthesis over here. This is a built-in Python function. It tells Python take whatever is inside the brackets and convert it into an integer. The value is still 25, but Python now treats it as a number instead of a text. Right, now let's see how we're going to convert from integer to float. Marks is 95, and I'm going to print the type of data type it has used over here. And suppose if we run it, it's doing, yeah, it's of in data type. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the data type of it. Marks equals float, open parenthesis, and again write here marks. Now, print it's the type of data type it uses. Yeah, see, it uses float now. So, did we get it? This is types conversion, right? But let me show you something more different over here. I'm going to print first marks before conversion, and after conversion, I'm going to print marks again. Now you notice the difference yourself. Earlier it was only 95, and when I converted into float, it came as 95.0. Why? Because float always represents decimal numbers. It always comes with the decimal point, right? Now let's reverse this conversion. This is a float data type, and now I'm going to convert its data type to an integer. All right, now let's print its price again, print the type of data type it has, and now let's run it. See, earlier it was float, now it became 9199 and it became an integer. So, did you notice it that many of you will think that Python rounded the number? It didn't. Python simply removed the decimal part. If Python had rounded this number, it would have become 200. But what Python did is simply remove the decimal point. And after the decimal point, whatever the number is, it becomes it was vanished. It suppose instead of point 0.9 and I had put 1 over here, it still would have showed me 199. So what you can do at you can practice it with a bunch of text, right? Try it for is try with 5.0, 5.1, 5.2. line one, and then simple 5. Try it with them. You will see that all of them will become the same result, right? Now we are going to code from integer to a string data type. Suppose I have an integer called age and I'm putting it as 20. Then I'm going to print type age, it being the type of data type I'm wanting to print over here. Now I'm going to convert it to string. Abbreviation of string is str, and I'm going to put your age inside it. Then I'm going to print age, and I'm going to print type of data type it is. Let's go. Yeah, see, earlier it was class integer. Now it's 20. Now it's still 20, but now its class is a string. I should bring it over here also. Both the time it's 20, but the first time it's an integer, and the second time it's a string. The value is still 20, but Python now considers it as text. So why does it matter? Now you might wonder, why would I even convert a number into text? So let's see, let's do an example. Right? And now I'm going to put my age as 20, and then I'm going to print over here. Python is giving an error over here because age is a string, and the age means inside the parentheses everything becomes a string, and but this age with a small a in it is an integer. So what's the correct way to print this? Type conversion. I have to test it outside it. Now it's converted into string, and now let's print this. Yeah, now it will show. Yeah, see. Now the answer is coming correctly. Age is coming as 25 because both values are strings, so Python joins them together, right? Now let's see from string to float. If I'm putting my height as 5.11 and then I'm going to print my height over here, then I'm going to print type of data type my height has. Now I'm going to convert this. Then again I'm going to print height and then again I'm going to print the type of data type it is. Now let's run it. See, both the time it's 5.11 only, 5.11. But first time it's float and the next time it's legit string. So now let's do some common errors that you won't do it ever. If I'm doing this x equals integer of hello, what would happen? An error will come because Python cannot convert ordinary words into numbers. Hello is not a numerical value, right? Now let's move on to mistake number two. This also cannot happen. Why? Because int expects a whole number, right? Since it is 12.5 and contains a decimal point, Python raises an error. So how are you going to convert this? Put a float. Now it won't show any error. Mistake number three. This is perfectly valid. Why? Because if you will see, the output will come as 20.0. That is easily done. An integer can easily be converted into a float. And please do remember, don't do conversions like suppose a variable is x. Don't do conversions like putting integer in brackets and then writing the name of the variable you want to convert. No, this is not the correct way. Correct way is to put in an open parenthesis and then write a variable name in which we want to convert, right? So to summarize this, we basically learned about type conversion, which simply means changing the data type of a value. Python provides several built-in functions for this purpose, like in, load, string, boolean. Remember one important thing that type conversion changes how Python interprets the value. It doesn't necessarily change the value itself, right? So in the next topic, I think we will talk about the input function. That's where type conversion becomes especially useful because we will see the user input is stored as text by default, and we will need these conversion functions to work with numbers. Yeah, so to begin the input function, I would like to say that so far in every program we have written something that has something in common. Let's take an example. If I'm writing over here a variable name is name, I'm giving it a value of 15 over it, and when I'm printing the variable name, it prints 8 on every single time, no matter who runs the program, no matter which computer it's running on. The output will always be 8. But let me ask you a question. What if my friend downloads this program? Will his name also be Adrian? Of course not. Maybe his name is Rahul. Maybe it's Sarah. Maybe it's John. Should I edit the program every time a different person uses this? Definitely not. If you think about real life examples, think about websites like Instagram or Facebook. When you log in, does Instagram already know your username before you type it? No, it asks you. When you go to the ATM, does it already know how much money you want to withdraw? No, it asks you to enter the amount. Whenever a program needs information from the user, it has to ask. And in Python, we ask the user for information using the input function, right? So let's start using the first input function, new equals input, and write a message over here so the user will understand what he has to do. Right. Now let's run this. See, here the pop-up message came, enter your name. And in here, I'm going to enter my name. They have entered it. I need to press enter, but let me tell you, I have also told it to print the name which I have entered before. See, so it has printed it over your AP. Right. So let's understand this line carefully. Input is a built-in from Python function. Its job is to pause the program and wait for the user to type something. The text inside the quotation marks is called a prompt. It tells the user what information the program is expecting. Suppose I've written here, enter your name. This message is shown on screen. The user reads it, the user types an answer and presses enter, and the output comes the name which the user has entered. So let me tell you what actually happened behind the scenes. The program started running, it reached the input function, Instead of continuing immediately, Python stopped and waited. It displayed the message, enter your name. I typed Adrian and pressed enter. Python took whatever I typed and stored it inside the variable name. Finally, print name displayed the stored value. If See, this is the same code, and I'm going to enter different names every time. Again, it's asking me enter your name. I'm going to type here Rahul. It's printing Rahul over here. Again, I'm going to run it, and I'm going to type here suppose John 1965. I'm going to press enter. See what printed John 1965 because that is his name. You're putting the numbers inside the quotation marks, so it has become string now. See, if you have noticed something, we never change this code. Without changing the code, I have entered three usernames. You can enter thousands of usernames without changing the code. The only thing that changed was the user's input. This is what makes program interactive, right? Now let's try with multiple inputs. First is enter your name. Then I'm going to put city over here. Put enter your city, right? And then I'm also going to print city over here. And I'm going to run it. So my name is Adrian. City is Tokyo. Press enter. So what got printed? Adrian and Tokyo got printed. So we have used two inputs over here. The first answer goes into the variable name. The second answer goes to the variable city. Each variable stores its own piece of information. A more interesting way of printing the values is with no name, print a message which says hello. Put a comma, then put the variable name as I've taught you earlier how you print a message along with variables. Second line, uh, there a bracket close and a comma. Now let's run it. If I'm going to put Rahul and in city and put you type here Delhi, present C. Hello Rahul, I live in Delhi. So now our program feels much more natural. Instead of displaying raw values, it's communicating with the user. Right. Now let's ask about the full bio data over here. City is done. Now about a college. Now let's run a code. Name Raj 7 college VIT. See, hello Raj, I live in Delhi. I study VIT. The message got printed over here. Common beginner mistakes. You just type input over here without putting the variable name to it, right? Or you are forgetting about the parentheses. You are just writing input. See, input is a function itself, and input parenthesis means we are actually calling the function. Without parentheses, Python doesn't ask the user for anything. And the third mistake is missing the double quotes over here. The prompt is text, so it must always be enclosed in quotation marks. Right. The big question is, suppose I want a number in my input. Suppose I want 25 in my input. How am I going to do that? Right. Suppose the topic is age. I'm going to input your age, right? And then I'm going to bring age. It's asking me into my age, 25. 25 is getting printed. Good. Sure. Why not? Try adding 5 to it. Enter your age, 25. Error is coming. Why? Because age is a string and we cannot add a string and an integer. Add two data type to add two things. They both should have the same data type. If I'm putting a 5 in parentheses over here, sorry, quotations over here, if I'm see now what's coming 55, that means they were both strings and they got concatenated by it. Right. So now we will do this using conversion and we have learned how to type convert in bracket open the variable name. So now I'm going to enter 5 over here. See, it's printing 5, but this time it's an integer. And after this, I'm add 5 to it, and then I'm going to run it again. Now I'm going to enter my equal something. The answer is 20. Why? Because this has now become an integer. Now 15 plus 5 is possible now. So this surprise is almost everything. Even though I typed the number, Python says in the string. Why? Because we know about this earlier. I've taught you about this earlier, right? So transition to type conversion basically means if I want to perform calculations on a number which the user enters, so I usually use this method. So there is now this is very inconvenient, like type converting it below it. So there's a much shorter way of doing this. Basically, this is your variable name. Put in front of the typecast itself over here. Now put input over here. Enter your age, right? Now bring age over here and to show you that it's not string anymore by this method, I'm going to print the type of data type as well. Now I'm going to run it. I'm going to enter my age of 45. Press enter. The class is showing that this is an integer type of data type. So we have succeeded. So if I want to summarize this, use this method to input a number. If you want to input a float value, right? Type your float instead and now run it. And now I'm going to put in 15.55 over here. It's printing 15.55 and data type over here is float. So let's quickly recall what we have just learned about the input function. The input function is used whenever we want to take information from the user. Instead of using fixed values in a program, we can ask the user to enter their own data, making our programs interactive. The general syntax is shown over here. With the message inside the quotation marks is called the prompt, which tells the user what to enter. Whatever the user types is stored in the variable. One very important point to remember is that the input function always returns a string, no matter what the user enters. Even if the user types 25 or 3.14, Python stores them as text. That's why whenever we want to perform mathematical operations, we first need to convert the input into the required data type using the functions like in parentheses or float parentheses, which are basically called type conversion. We also discussed some common mistakes such as forgetting to store the input in a variable, forgetting the parentheses after input, or forgetting to put quotation marks around the prompt. So to summarize, input is used to get data from the user. The entered value is stored in a variable. Prompt guides the user on what to enter. Input always returns a string. We use type conversion when we need numbers instead of text. With this, you now know how to create interactive Python programs that communicate with the user instead of displaying fixed inputs. Right? I hope that this was very helpful to you. So, welcome to this new video. In today's episode, we will learn about variables.